and welcome to another learning lesson right here on Street Biashara, where we test your general knowledge on business and financial terms. I'm your host, Brenda Nyamichaba. Now, the recent supplementary budget for 2019 and 2020 came with effect after its reduction to just 73.4 billion Kenyan shillings. Of note was key misses of funds for the top four agenda for the Jubilee government. Capital expenditure of 24.8% lower than the IMF's recommendation of 30% threshold by the International Monetary Fund. Now, the term we're looking at today is capital expenditure. Well, have you heard of it before? Let's go find out.
Capital expenditure is the money spent to start a business or a business venture.
That's how maybe you budget on your something, just generally budgeting.
Capital expenditure is the money in the consolidated fund. Now the government looks into it to see how it will spend its money through its budget.
This is the money that is being used by an organization or a business in acquiring the assets for itself, either buying land, motor vehicles, or something like we call fixed assets.
Is the money that you use to open up a business, the initial amount of money that you use to open up a business. So it means the money that you're going to spend on the capital that you're using, on the money that you've already opened up a business with.
It's the amount of money which we normally use on a daily basis, and actually before you do the budget. And the turnover, the capital turnover, that is the expenditure, which is the GDP, the gross domestic product, and the GDP at the end of the year, and actually what you have already spent, saved at the end of the day after you have spent the rest of the money of the amount which you have.
It's the amount of money that one uses for their needs. Could either be personal needs or in terms of business, it could be either the money that you use in running, the daily activities of a business.
Capital expenditure is the gross expenditure or the net expenditure spent by the government, actually. Like it's the entire expenditure the government plans to spend in its economic in a given financial fiscal year.
Now, there's nothing I love better than getting the chance to see your answers when it comes to business and financial terms. And this time around, we were exploring capital expenditure just to get to know what exactly it is you understand by that term. Now we're back in studio and we're going to break it down for you from an economic expert. And the individual joining me today is the one and only Samson Mudia. Thank you so much for joining me once again.
Thank you.
Now, Samson, what is capital expenditure?
In simple terms, I would like maybe to say capital expenditure. We usually call it as CapEx. These are funds. Yes, not too much complications, but these are funds or even monies a company use to buy, maintain. It's companies in terms of buildings, lands, vehicles. So totally these are funds used by a company in terms of either maintaining or even buying new in terms of items for a company, in terms of running a company. Yeah, you might not, maybe sometimes you don't have maybe land, you want to expand your business in terms of building, you want to own your own building, that is money you use maybe to buy the buildings. You don't have a car, that are the funds you use maybe to buy a company's car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, why is it important for an economy to focus on its resources to generate revenue?
One, it's very important because I can be able to say it focuses on key factors of productions. because if they don't improve, that means even the companies in terms of private sector are not going to improve. Like for example, in terms of roads, they don't maybe spend and expand their roads in terms of infrastructure.
Okay.
No business is going to thrive. So it's very important if they want to reciprocate in terms of what the private sector is doing, and they want the private sector in terms of improve and spend and invest more in the country. They need to improve in infrastructure, in terms of enabling environment, in terms of entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Okay. Now looking at into last year, what are some of the ways Kenya missed on utilizing its resources, especially when it comes into revenue generation?
One, I'd say in terms of improvement of infrastructure, you can be able to see in terms of people who are in business, they were complaining about access roads maybe to their destination of like for example, if I go to agribusiness, where farmers are bringing their produce, it takes a long time in terms of the produce reaching the market. But if the access road in terms of infrastructure was very well, it will be take a shorter time so that they can be able to trade, and immediately that reciprocates to the government in terms of tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that clear
Thank you.
explanation. Well, there you have it. That is capital expenditure. I do hope you got to learn as much as I did today on this episode of Biashara, which brings us to the end, but I'll see you on the next episode.